Okay, so we've covered basic training and AIT. Real Army life is a whole lot different than any TRADOC that you're ever really going to be in. Um, but it also depends on your unit, your MOS. I mean, one unit that is stationed right here could be completely different than the unit that's right next to it. I mean, the Army is there's standards for everything, but really how a unit's run is really up to your commander and your first sergeant. I mean, I can't ask, somebody, when I was in AIT, I was asking one of my buddies that was stationed here what Fort Riley was like, or how the unit was run, and she's like, oh, I don't know how your unit's going to be because this is how my unit does stuff. And then when I got to my unit, it was completely different. So, you know, everybody's military experience is going to be different. I mean, there's really no two same stories. There's similar stories, but nobody's is going to be the same. Basically, this is how it's going to be. You're going to learn a whole bunch of new shit, a ton of it. Like I said in my last video, you have no idea what busy is when you're in TRADOC, okay? Because you're only expected to, basic training, warrior tasks, and AIT is your MOS specific training. That's it. You don't do anything else, okay? The real Army, I mean, the first thing you're really going to learn how to do, especially what I did, was PMC as a Humvee. You got to basically be like, not a mechanic, but you have to be able to fix certain things that are wrong with the Humvee, your 10 level stuff. Um, let's see, I am the unit armorer, I have to run the entire arms room. I'm responsible for millions of dollars worth of equipment. It has nothing to do with me being in intelligence at all, but it's just something that the company needed, and they tagged me for it. I'm going to armor school in like 2 weeks, and ammo handlers class. I mean, you're going to be expected to know so much more than really your basic tasks and your MOS specific stuff. Those two things are just what every soldier is expected to do. And then you have your additional duties, okay? I mean, that could range from anywhere because I know of sergeants that are in like 10 different things, and I know some sergeants that have no extra responsibilities. It's just really depends on the needs of the company, who's already, doing what. Some jobs like EO can only be held by like an E6 or above. So people like me, I'm an E3, I don't have to worry about that shit. But still, I mean, good example. One of our supply sergeant left. We have a linguist who was taking her spot in the supply room. So she basically went from being a linguist to supply. Shit like that happens all the time. So, be prepared to, do a bunch of other shit that has absolutely nothing to do with your job. Because when I first got here, I'm like, what the fuck does this have to do with my job? I just spent all this time doing it. Well, that doesn't matter. Suck it up. That's how the real Army is. There's a lot of stuff that you are expected to know how to do just because you're a soldier. Every one of us is expected to know how to do pretty much basic everything. Like, PMCSing a Humvee, how to use your NVGs, how to put together all your equipment, all that shit. I mean, you're expected to know how to do all of that and how to teach somebody how to do it. And you're going to find out real quick when you get to the real Army, they're big on leadership. Okay, like I'm a E3. We just got another E3 and an E4 to our unit, and my responsibility is to kind of be a mentor to both of them to kind of integrate them into the unit since I've been here for a while. That's my job. I'm not a sergeant. I'm not even a specialist, but hey, they want you to be a leader. So be prepared for that. If your leadership skills are lacking, I suggest you work on them. I don't know whatever you need to do it. I would suggest you do it because you're going to be expected to give briefings to sometimes the entire company. You're going to be expected to show people how to do shit. If you know how to do something and somebody else doesn't know, you're going to be expected to teach them. Because if they don't know, and you were standing right there, that sergeant's going to come down on you and be like, why the fuck didn't you teach him that? Oh, I didn't know. Well, too bad. That's not an excuse. Okay, and you don't want that impression. Okay, you don't want your first sergeant or platoon sergeant or whatever to think that you're a piece of shit. You don't want to help nobody because there's going to come a time when you need them and they're not going to help you. Okay? So I do what I can to help out everybody because I know eventually I'm going to need somebody to help me with something. So, it's basically, I scratch you back, I scratch your back, you scratch mine type thing. It's a lot more relaxed in the real Army than it was in TRADOC. Once, you've been there, you'll understand. In TRADOC, if you don't stand a parade rest to, an NCO while talking to them, they will flip out. Or they'll just ignore you. They'll be like, oh, I can't hear you because you're not standing a parade rest. Here, as long as you are tactful, you're respectful, and you follow their orders and everything, parade rest really doesn't work. If you're talking to a first sergeant or a sergeant major or something like that, like real high-ranking NCO guys, yeah, obviously, you're not going to disrespect them like that, but your average everyday sergeants that you're going to see every day, you're going to be friends with them, probably, and, they're going to be your bosses, sure, but, they're going to be like, hey, whatever, don't have to stand up parade rest, just go do that, and you say, okay, you go. The real Army is a whole lot different than it is in TRADOC. It's a lot more work, okay, but it's also a lot more freedom. Work hard, play hard. We play real hard sometimes. And also, depending on your commander and stuff like that, sometimes we have just pretty much days off. We'll have like a company barbecue to keep up a spirit of corps. We call it a training day, or a resiliency day. They like that word a lot. You'll have that every once in a while. If you're in a force comm unit, you're really going to love it because we have 4-day weekends. Today's Friday and I didn't go to work. I got released at noon yesterday, so I basically have a 4.5-day weekend, and we have probably around, about one of those a month. So if you're in a force comm unit, that's great. I know a lot of units like to take 3-day weekends. Force comm likes to take 4. And hey, you're getting paid as if you were at work, so why not, right? Just the real Army is it's a lot more responsibility. It doesn't matter what rank you are, Like I said, I'm the unit armorer, and if a staff sergeant turns in a dirty weapon, I'm gonna be like, oh, nope, take that shit back, clean it again. The real Army is, it's rank obviously, but it's more about the position that you're in. So you could be a specialist, and you could have an E3 that's handling something, and will have a charge over you, and that's just something you got to deal with. Don't be that guy that's like, I'm a specialist, you're a PFC, fuck off. Because you know what? I know a PFC who's very knowledgeable. He knows a lot about his craft, about his MOS. Really smart guy. I know sergeants that go to him to ask him questions because they don't know. So it doesn't matter what rank you are. Everybody can learn from everybody. And keep that in mind, because I've learned a lot from the NCOs that I'm, here with. And these new guys that are in my unit, they're going to learn all that crap from me. Because, I'm basically the continuity guy. A lot of the people in my unit are leaving. I'm staying. We're getting a lot of new people. So, everything I've learned, I'm going to pass on. That's how it works in the Army. So, be a sponge. Absorb everything that you can. Because one day, they're going to be like, hey, we need somebody that knows how to do this. And nobody's going to know except for you because you took the initiative to learn. Okay? That's going to get you promoted. Trust me, it will. Once you get noticed, anything that makes you stand out is good. Okay? So that would be my biggest recommendation for Army life, is to make yourself stand out. If you're not a PT stud like myself, I'm not a PT stud at all. Okay? I'm just not. I have a fucked up foot right now. My leg's in a cast anyway, so I can't even take a PT test. Alright, so I do other things to make myself stand out. I make the arms room go from green to red, or red to green on inspections, or, I stay later than some people do and, do admin shit, or help my platoon sergeant out, or volunteer to, come in early to help somebody out, or volunteer for a detail. Just keep doing stuff like that and you will get noticed, I promise. And eventually it'll work out for you, So, just keep your head up, and, if you're a lifer, you're going to get a lot of experience out of the Army. That's one thing that the Army does give you is a ton of experience. just in everything really. So take from it what you can, and just drive on. You got any questions, just shoot me an email or leave a comment on the bottom.